Hi everyone, welcome to Tony Fox Tarot. Thanks for joining me today and great to have you with me. Today we're looking at messages coming through for you, a unique message that hopefully will help you to move forward on your path in a free and liberated way to help you to reach your best potential. So what is that message? What's coming through for you? Now, before we get started, if you want to go down below and hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon, that'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. Please like and share this video where you can, and if you are interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Now, before you on the screen, we've got 5 different cards to choose from today. The idea is to choose a card that resonates with you really clearly, and once you've made that choice, that will be your reading. It's perfectly fine to choose more than one card that comes through strongly for you. And just remember, this is a general reading, so take what resonates and leave behind anything that doesn't. Now, we've got card 1, card 2, card 3, card 4, and card 5. Taking a moment to be with the cards, drawing in a nice deep breath. And as you release the breath, listening to your intuition, your inner voice, and the energy of the cards. Which of these comes through for you the clearest today? Is it card 1, card 2, card 3, card 4, or card 5? Down below, there are 5 different timestamps representing each of these different cards. If you'd like to go to the one that you've chosen, I'll see you in a moment. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 1. This is your reading and we're looking at messages coming through for you today. So cards are on the table, let's jump in, have a look and see what's going on for you. Up here to the Sun and the Queen of Wands, looking into the past. And I think that you're the kind of person who is happiest going at a pace that suits you. I don't feel that you are someone who wants to get caught up in a rhythm of life that is overly ambitious, overexerted, all about one particular thing. I think in some ways for you, near enough is good enough, and that you're quite satisfied with being realistic about what is achievable in a way that actually gives you maybe a quality of life or a quality of experience. I think life is most fun for you when things are proportionate. So it's not all about work. You know, that you have the time to stop and smell the roses in a way that you can just kind of soak up. Yeah, it's about the small things, really. I think I don't feel like you're a person that needs to have a lot of money or security. It's not about acquisition, is what I want to say. Yeah, it's not to say that those things aren't important or that you don't need them, but it's not that you're not caught up in that. I feel here with the Queen of Wands in particular, a very adventurous card, and the Sun is a very happy, positive vibration. You know, there's an innocence about the Sun, but at the same time, it's purely about just being happy and having a bit of fun. I feel adventure excites you. It makes you happy. It could be a lot of different things to lots of different people, but I felt really like travel was very strong for many of you. Going out into the world and having an adventure through the experience of traveling and seeing other cultures was really important. It was something that soaked up a lot of understanding about who it is that you are as a person, but also what the world's all about, what it has to offer, how things tick. I think through that experience of being adventurous by nature, maybe being very outdoorsy, going into nature, being out in the wild, being out in the world, whatever this means to you, you know, it's about an uninhibited experience that leaves you to feel that you have freedom. The freedom is really important to you because being free to do what you want or to go where you want to go is really at the heart of your existence. I feel there's almost like a vagabond or rambler nature to who it is that you are. Maybe some gypsy blood, you know, like I just feel you want to be able to roam and to get out there and just see things from your own perspective. I think there's a lot in that for you. It keeps it spirited, it keeps it fun, it keeps it alive. Again, I don't feel money and acquisition is what it's all about for you. Coming over here to the High Priestess and the King of Cups, I feel like this is more in the here and now. At the heart of this reading, I think that you're actually a very loving person. I think that you are very intuitive, very spiritual in your understanding of life and who it is that you actually are. I feel, however, that you have become uncertain about the future in a way where perhaps you're beginning to worry about what's up ahead in a way that you hadn't been before. There's an uncertainty maybe of settling down or of focusing in on the future in a way that actually gives it some sort of a shape that as you grow through your experience in life, that perhaps there's something that you should be doing that you're not doing, or that there is something that you haven't found that is more defining of who it is that you are. The High Priestess is a card of uncertainty, but it's a card about the future. The King of Cups is very much about relationships and your love of another person, but it's also about getting to the heart of matters of who it is that you are as a person. Perhaps for some of you, there's a worry about settling down into a relationship and actually conforming in a way that is very much about society's expectations of what you should be. Or perhaps for other people, it might be that you're just really concerned that you haven't found what it is you want to do in life. So you're questioning the future, you're questioning the meaning of life, questioning your responsibilities to be somebody who is supposed to have a family, to be in love, to have a career, to take on responsibilities that actually define you in a way that is more acceptable. Perhaps you're looking at the idea of what it means to put down roots in a way that scares you. I feel a lot of uncertainty with these two cards. I feel it's a bit of a soupy place, the lack of clarity. I don't feel there are answers here for you at this particular time, and that does create a sense of uncertainty. I feel at this point of time, you're very trepidatious about what the future holds for you. I got to be honest with you. If I look back to the past here with the Sun and the Queen of Wands, I see somebody who is, I want to say, immature. I don't think you are immature in a way that means that you can't be responsible. It's not that you're Peter Pan either. It's just I think it's just you don't want to have to grow into something that weighs you down. It's the freedom for me. It's about the freedom. It's about the need to be uninhibited, to be free to roam, to be able to make choices as you go along in a way that defines you more in the moment, definitely. But I do feel here with the High Priestess and the King of Cups, it's a very questioning place of understanding what is my true purpose. What am I supposed to be doing next? Where am I supposed to be growing into? What am I supposed to be growing into? Coming down here to the Star and the Nine of Swords, I feel that you're heading into a place around the bend, the next twist, the next turn. There's a lot of fear coming up here that you're thinking that you should be something perhaps that you're not. I think that this is going to aggravate this position that I've identified before in a way where you will feel that not only do things not seem clear, but as a consequence of that, you're unable to focus on any specific thing that you really want, that makes sense to you. I think this is going to drive some fear in a way where you'll begin to freak out and question what you've been doing with your life. I mean, I don't want this to sound too heavy because I think this is going to end in a good place, to be honest with you. There's an aimlessness to what's up ahead in a way where you feel very vulnerable. And just, like the star is a card of focus, about your hopes, your dreams, about pinning something on a board and working towards it in a very goal-orientated way. But the Nine of Swords, it's unable to focus. It's unable to look at what's in front of you because there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of worry that debilitates that possibility to think about things in a much more constructive fashion. And I think the swords are very reflective on the past. And we look back to the past, living in the moment, day to day, being your own person in a way that gives you freedom has afforded you a life that has actually been really interesting and very fulfilling in many ways. But at the same time, you haven't been working towards something that maybe is more specific as an end game. And that gives you a more bolstered, secure outcome in terms of living that particular type of life. So I feel like you're really going to size things up. Maybe comparing yourself to other people in a way that contrasts what they've got, what you've got, what you don't have, what they've got. Maybe thinking in some ways that you're not good enough, or that you haven't gotten this right, that maybe you've done this all wrong. That maybe you should be somewhere that you're not. But I don't feel that you have to think of it that way. I really don't, because I look at these cards and I say to you that when you look at where you have come from, the happiest place you have been is when you are in the magic zone. You're somebody who lives in the moment. You're adept at navigating the now in a way where you just live the moment. Your strength is in your happiness of just being where you are in a way that makes you happy. You always land on your feet. There's magic in the Queen of Wands. There's magic in the Sun. There's happiness here. There's a high vibration that draws in experiences that are very positive, that are supportive in a way that doesn't necessarily make rational sense, because you're in the moment. Security is in the moment. Happiness is in the moment. Doing what you're doing, no matter what it is that you choose to do, and being happy with that is in the moment. You're a free-spirited person who doesn't need to be defined or shaped about the future in a way that perhaps other people need to be. So take the fear out of the equation. Take this way of thinking that you're supposed to be something that you're not out of the equation. Just be yourself. You could throw a penny down the main street of any big city, big town, and it would bounce off 1,000 accountants, lawyers, doctors, nurses. No offense to any of those people. But it's rare that you come up against somebody who is defining their lives in a way that suits them as opposed to what is it they think that they need to be. Be free-spirited, trust in that, draw in the positive experiences that life has to offer, and which will afford you a lot of support and security in the future by accepting that truth. I hope this reading has made some sense, and if it has, feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe. Tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. Plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 2. This is your reading and we're looking at messages coming through for you today. So let's jump in and see what's going on here. I'm up here with the Tower and the Knight of Swords. Yeah, a lot of discontentment coming through. Frustration and anger, more specifically. Boiling over in a way where I feel like you're venting out, acting out even. I mean, I get somebody who has been or, can be on a warpath if things aren't going smoothly. I think easily triggered into expressing your thoughts and feelings, your opinions. I feel like everybody's ducking for cover when this happens, and that if you're triggered in such a way where you feel somebody is rallying against you, or if the situation isn't going smoothly in a way that you had anticipated, that you can react to that in a way where you become very upset, very frustrated, and that it becomes all consuming, I get a person who can be very verbal and expressive of how it is that they feel about things. I think very passionate. I mean, I don't want this to sound all negative, because it's not. I think you're a very passionate person. I think you're a very driven person. I think you have an enormous amount of energy. And at the basis of what I'm feeling and seeing here is somebody who wants to understand why it is that they actually get to this particular point where they feel that they can't control what it is that's happening within themselves. This feels like it becomes out of control to me, everything becomes destabilized, you lose your bearings, things become quite overwhelming. And there's fear. It's almost like a frightening feeling, or that a situation can spiral out of control very quickly. And the only way you know how to respond to that is to defend yourself, is to cloak yourself in armor and take maybe a defensive position that, resists what's going on in a way that puts everything back into order. And there's a lot of panic here, a lot of fear, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, and it drives people away. It drives the situation into a state of... It closes things down, is what I want to say. It closes everything down. I think you feel that everything becomes unworkable. And the way that you respond to that is to defend yourself. And that you spend a lot of time trying to figure it out, but when the mood arises, it just takes over. It feels like there's a lack of control here, like an inability for you to be able to figure out where it's coming from, but also to be able to temper that expression into something that's a little bit more moderate. I feel that you've had a lack of support at the core of your existence. I feel that this is historic, that perhaps you've always had to fight your corner, you've always had to fight your ground, you've always had to take control of the situation in a way where the only way you know how to do that is to be forceful in getting what it is that you need to survive. I think that when people appear not to give you what you need, that can be interpreted in a way where they're not on your side, or that they're taking some kind of an offensive position, which means that you need to look after yourself. And so this behavior is almost like an automatic default position that is the basis for you to be able to make sense of a situation that becomes quite senseless. But I think that this is really difficult for you, because I think that, it's made you very unhappy. When I say that, when it happens, it certainly makes you unhappy. But I think that you're the thing is here with the Knight of Swords, you're self-aware. It's all going on. You're always thinking things through. You have a very strong analytical capacity. You're full of ideas. You're full of thoughts. You have a look at what's going on in a way here with the Tower. You really go down into the bone. You're looking for causative factors that link into why this happens. You're aware that this is going on. There's no denial going on here, not at all. I think you're tired of having an axe to grind. I think you're tired of this expression that comes up in a way where you don't have control over it. If, you know that it actually affects other people. I think more importantly, it actually affects you. It affects your health, your mental health, maybe even your physical health. And sometimes it can be very draining. There's a lot of energy that goes into this expression. I think you're tired of the way it makes you look. You're tired of the way that it actually makes other people feel. But the problem here with these two cards is that you've looked at it and looked at it and looked at it, and maybe you even had help on it. Maybe you've even looked to find healing for it. But nothing seems to make sense of it or stabilize it in a way where you get a sense of balance, is what I'm trying to express to you. Now, if we come over here to the Fool and the Queen of Pentacles, I feel that where things are set to move from here, this is a new beginning, the Fool, new beginning, letting it go, finding a new path. I do feel like you're entering into a phase of your life where it's much more grounded. I feel here with the Queen of Pentacles, there's a very, very lovely card that is earthed and focused in a way where I feel that you're going to find your feet, that you're going to find a focus in your world that really grounds you, and that your attention will begin to turn towards more constructive endeavors that are about supporting yourself. Pentacles are very much about, the industrious nature of results. Queen of Pentacles is very specifically focused around security, money, bolstering a world or an existence that actually is supportive of a really good quality of life, very much around the home or the house, domestic stuff that actually gives you a feel-good factor so that you actually have some kind of a sanctuary to resort to that's really about your own world, expressive of the need to balance, this feeling of, getting out of control or feeling out of control. I felt that there was a really positive influence coming into your world here in the balance, starting from the now, moving into the future, that somebody who is going to be a very important influence on you, that would give you guidance, that would be very attentive to your needs in an almost motherly way or a nurturing way, somebody who helps you to identify what it is that you need to do in order to get yourself into shape, who will assist you to help you to let it go. This could be a mentor. It could be somebody who is a healer. It could be somebody who is a friend's mother, or somebody who is like a colleague who just has a presence. It's somebody who has a presence. It could be a doctor. It could be a psychologist. It could be anybody who just really gives you some guidance through their influence as a person, because they've actually found something that actually works for them in a way that actually is practical for you to apply to your own world. And I really feel that this is the beginning of a healing period for you. A new beginning of stabilization where you're able to let things go. The Fool is very much about new beginnings, but it's also about a new journey. It's a departure from the past. I think changes here are about to be made in a way where you're going to move on in your life and find a very different way of doing things. I think you've had a difficult road. I really do feel that. I think that you've actually had maybe a difficult upbringing for some of you, or a difficult period of time where everything's kind of gone to crap, everything's fallen to pieces. And, life can do that. Life can pull the rug out from underneath your feet in a way where it's unexpected and overwhelming, and that things become so difficult to make sense of. There can be a lot to be angry about in life. And sometimes that can be a period of time and a part of a bigger process. For some of you, this could go way back, into history stuff, like right from the time you were born, from a family who were unsupportive, or from a parent who was unsupportive, or a situation that was unsupportive. I kind of feel that there has been a lack of support for many of you in terms of being able to maybe adapt a skill set that is innate as a part of your upbringing, that helps you to survive in a life that is just a lot easier. I think that you've had to do it hard. I think you give yourself a really hard time, no matter who this is. You give yourself a very hard time. I think you beat yourself up. I think you get inside your head and you rattle around it in a way where you think that you should be doing better, that you think that you should be something that maybe that you're just not. There's a lack of acceptance here for me. A lack of acceptance here for me back in the past. Always trying to find the answers, never finding anything that works. Discontentment. A lack of accepting that things are just the way that they are, that it has been a rough deal. Maybe it's time to understand that it has been crap. It's okay that it was crap. It's okay that it hasn't been better. Accepting that. Accepting that you've had the rough end of the deal. We come down here to Temperance and the Four of Cups. I feel that this is going to support you in terms of this reading. It's about finding a healthy balance. I feel moving into the future that you actually will find a much healthier balance in your world. And don't get me wrong, because I can see here with the Four of Cups that there are going to be triggers for you that will flare up degrees of discontentment, degrees of frustration. But largely things will remain much more balanced for you in a way where you're able to come back into a state of equilibrium. I think relationships for you in particular can be very triggering. But I think that this is a part of a wider process of learning that actually assimilates the understanding that sometimes you need to find a balanced response, that you can't just react to what's going on, that you need to allow your thoughts and feelings to arise and for them to move through you in a way where you don't trigger and bite into them and flare. And I feel that a big part of this process is finding constructive focus in your world that actually really grounds you back up here to Queen of Pentacles and the Fool. But down here with Temperance and the Four of Cups, the healing has begun, and accepting that there are also limitations, you know, in terms of what people can be like, of what situations can be like. Sometimes people are going to disappoint. Sometimes situations are going to fail you. But taking a step back and knowing when to respond proportionately is what this is all about. Knowing also that sometimes you need to be alone. I get a very sensitive person coming through here who actually can be easily triggered. Maybe this is going to be more difficult for you than it is for most people, but at the end of the day, you have the intelligence, you have the emotional capacity to be able to understand that this is too exhausting. You can't keep on going on like this anymore. I think decompression time is important for you. Having the space to be alone, to step back, to let things come back into balance, but also not to give yourself such a hard time that you feel you also have to have all of the answers either. I see a lot more effort coming through into the future where there is more forgiveness to yourself and to other people. Yeah. Overall, I feel that this is a very important reading because I see that a lot of healing needs to take place here, and that you're on a journey that is taking you through a process that arrives you at the recognition of something that is deeper, that you are finding the answers. Yeah, that you are finding the answer. There is a reason that you're like responding the way you are. Anyway, look, I hope this reading has made some sense to you, and if it has, feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. Plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 3. This is your reading and we're looking at messages for you today. So here we are, got some cards on the table. Let's jump on in and have a look and see what's going on for you right now. Over here to the Hermit and the 3 of Swords. Felt this has been a very long and difficult period of time for you. That you've endured a lot of heartache, a great deal of suffering, that you haven't been able to get away from that. That it had been all pervasive in as much as it's like a cloud that hangs over your head. And I felt like this was a deep experience though. It's not just something that skims over the surface. This is something that has gone right to your center, to your core. I feel that it's taken over your life in many ways. I feel that it doesn't matter which way you look or turn, you're constantly reminded of something that has happened to you that has caused a lot of aggravation. I feel lost here with these cards. I can't see a way forward, that I feel immersed in a situation where I'm unable to think of anything else. And even if I can, something happens that triggers to remind me, where I come back to it again. And at times that can be really unbearable. I feel sadness. I feel bereft, I feel a sense of loss, or I feel like I've lost a part of myself here. I don't know if I feel like I can figure it out. In some ways I feel like I've given up even, I feel like this has been happening for a very long time. This is not a recent thing, and even if it was something that was recent, it's maybe triggering something that was actually much deeper than that, and that goes into a very long history. It could even be a lifetime for some of you. It feels like an eternity. I feel at times you're asking questions that are really big. Maybe looking for the meaning of life through this. Maybe looking at unanswered questions that you just can't make any sense of. It's all-consuming. And this is very historic, but it leads up to this particular point. And I feel if we come over to Death and the King of Swords, I feel you've come to a point where you know that something has to change within yourself. That finally you're finding a place where you can actually begin to raise the courage to look at this in a way where you can begin to perhaps be honest with yourself about what you need to do to move through it. But there is still a sense of isolation here, a sense of feeling very alone from this experience. I feel like the impact that this experience has had on you over an accumulative period of time has left you to feel very isolated and alone. You might be with people, but it's very hollow in your experience of that. You might be in a situation where there's a lot going on around you that should give you some comfort and sense of connection, but you feel isolated within that. Maybe for some of you, you feel yourself just keeping to yourself, keeping quiet about this experience that you hold within yourself that grieves you, because nobody else would understand. It's lonely. Find yourself not talking to other people about it. You find yourself just carrying it in a way where you feel like a shell of yourself, I feel anger at times here that is very internalized. I feel almost bitterness and resentment about what's happened. But at the same time, what can you do about it? What would it achieve? I think this has left you feeling unable to feel in some ways. and maybe to trust. Whether that's people, whether that's life, whether that's just about anything, really. I think this has taken you to the brink, actually. I think this is taking you to a point where you have thought about maybe giving up. That could mean different things for different people. Maybe you just feel an apathy for life. Maybe you feel there's no point in really getting involved in anything that is about the zest of life. Maybe for some of you, even you've thought about giving up life. I mean, it feels like it could be heavy for some people. I feel like you've reached an end point, and that you felt that you couldn't go any lower. I feel like you've hit rock bottom. And I think I just want to, what I want to say here is that there's a recognition that that is where you're at now, and it is an awareness of that process. There is an engagement with that. I think that you're in a very analytical place at this particular time because you realize you can't continue on like this anymore. That you have to cut away from it in some way, some shape, some form. You have to leave this behind, leave whatever it is that's happened, whoever it was, whatever it was, like whatever this means to you. It's like I'm done, I can't do this anymore. It's big. It's really big. I feel a very internalized person who is deep in their understanding of life. I think that you take things to heart in a way where you plunder your understanding through great wisdom. I think you take your experiences to a very brutal degree at times. I think that you take life very seriously. You're very intelligent. You think big, you think deep. And I think although you're saying on one level that maybe you're not feeling, I think that it's because you felt so much that you actually are at this particular point. Your capacity is much bigger than you probably realize, much bigger than possibly other people. And this process that you've been going through for a very long time is a big part of who it is that you are. A big part of yourself has tried to work out life, maybe even the meaning of it through this. You've been very brave. I feel like you've been very brave to go through what you've gone through, because I think most people would have given up a long time ago, or if they hadn't have done that, that they would have just made it into something that was superficial, perhaps, more digestible, less brutal, less confronting. But you had the courage to go into this experience, to go into this process in a way where you have taken it to where you have gone. And if I come down here to the Wheel of Fortune and the Ace of Cups, I feel that you're it's not only that you're ready to move on, but that in the balance, life is about to take a turn for the better, that a new beginning is on the horizon. I feel like you're prepared to risk it all to find happiness and fulfillment in a way where you do let it go. But I want to say more than that, because I feel that you're ready. That what underpins this reading is an openness to chance, an openness to risk, an openness to a new beginning that bounces you forward in a way that brings love and laughter back into your existence. That the light returns into your world in a way where you can begin to see a way forward, that you can begin to see answers, that you can begin to see solutions, that what you have been through has taken you to this particular point in a way where you will move on in a very natural, evolving way. It's a turn for the better. It's a reboot in some ways, but it's actually about your growth as a person. I feel that things are about to change for you in a way over this coming year that will really enrich you and give you a sense of fulfillment, because it'll actually just be about, and it'll be about the small things. It won't necessarily be about big things. It'll be about just feeling lighter, feeling happier, feeling ready and open to what comes your way in a way where you don't carry what you've been carrying before. That there's hope. And that you can begin to ride a very different wave of experience through into the future in a way that really fills your own cup. Change is about to happen. You're ready for change. You're ready to let go. You're ready to move on. You're ready to find something that actually gives back to you in a way that fills up your cup and gives you the sustenance to be able to trust again. So don't give up hope. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on life, because there's more there for you in a way that's really going to take you in a very new direction. I feel happiness is in the balance here, and I feel that that is going to be a sustained experience that will last you for the next phase in this very interesting journey that is your life. I hope this reading has made some sense, and if it has, feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe. Tap on the bell icon, that'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. And if you are interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. Plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 4. This is your reading and we're looking at messages coming through for you today. So we've got some cards on the table. Let's jump in, have a look and see what's going on. The Lovers, Queen of Cups, comes through even here with the Two of Cups. Love and the idea of relationship certainly comes through. I don't feel it necessarily means that this is a reading about intimate relationships. It could be friendships or family members, colleagues. It also could be an intimate relationship. If we come over here to the Lovers and the Eight of Swords, I felt like this is a relationship of some sort in the past that was going absolutely nowhere. And I feel that this has cornered you in a way where you haven't been able to figure out which way to turn in order to make things work properly. I feel like this other person was a difficult person, or that circumstances prevailing certainly made it difficult for this person to be able to see things straight. I feel like you were in the dark for a very long time and that you didn't know what they were doing to you or know what was really going on in a way that kind of left you sort of blind to their behavior perhaps, or blind to what it is that they were actually doing. I feel like it's been quite loaded in that perhaps this person has consciously or unconsciously been manipulating you or maybe even bullying you or at the very least kind of leading you up the garden path in a way that is a little bit less than honest. And I feel that this has led you to make some very difficult choices as to where things were going. And that you have made a decision that it is better to get out of this particular connection because everything has become unworkable. Based on this other person's behavior or their actions, it's almost like this other person hasn't wanted it to work. I really feel that this person hasn't been able to help themselves. In some ways, I feel they're guilty, but on another level, I kind of feel they just haven't figured something out within themselves, or figured out something that's going on between the two of you that allows them to be more clearly in the light. You've been in the dark for a long time. Perhaps they've been in the dark for a long time. Something I felt had happened to draw your attention to it in a way where you could no longer ignore it. Maybe something happened, or somebody, led you to understand what was going on. And you've had to make a decision once again, that is about getting out. A very oppressive situation. I kind of feel that you've been on the rough end of this experience. I feel like you are the one that's actually taken the bullets. You're the one that's taken the rough end of the deal. And come over here to the Fool and the Queen of Cups. Because you're actually a really lovely person. You're very gentle, very giving, very loving. I think, you're genuine in as much as you want the right thing for people. I think you give a lot to anybody who needs it without having to think about it. Very unconditional. I think you're quite light-hearted by nature as well. That there is a sense of liberation here in terms of your capacity to be able to navigate a connection with somebody in a way that doesn't tax them, that doesn't take from them. I feel like you're in a position now at this particular point in the current sort of timeline context that you're freeing yourself after this situation with this other person. That, the Fool is very much about moving on and a new beginning, that you're liberated by freedom. You're feeling carefree about where it is that you're at. You're no longer bound by this other person in a way that causes you any inhibitions, that it's given you an opportunity to get back to yourself in a way where you can really figure out what it is that you want. Yeah, it's a sense of lightness, of freedom, of carefreeness. I kind of feel like nothing's holding you back right now. It's a new beginning, a new direction based on what it is that you really want for yourself. I think you've come to this point of realization that you've figured out, oh my gosh, there's nothing wrong with me. It's not me. After this very difficult situation with this other person, I feel that's been quite oppressive, almost like a bit like you've been brainwashed a little bit, made to sort of think things are a particular way, to see things through a certain lens that is based on somebody else's agenda, their issues. I feel like you've also come to a point where you're a very good person, and you actually see that you can give, there's forgiveness here for this person. Forgiveness in as much as you can see maybe that it's not all their fault, that you have the capacity to do that, that you're better than that within yourself, not looking to sort of, make it into an egotistical thing at all, but more just that, it's the right thing to do. People make mistakes. I don't feel like you're holding a grudge. There's no malice there. There's no resentment or bitterness. I think also you've come out of this in a way where you're saying that you want love in your life, and that then in order to have that, you need to forgive this person, but also you don't want to carry that burden of what it is that happened into the future. So you're choosing not to take it on anymore. It's very evolved, very spiritual. The Fool is a spiritual card. It's quite ethereal in terms of its very independent journey to find liberation. The Queen of Cups is fueling that with a lot of love. You're on a new path. Liberated by a sense of being yourself, really, because that's who you are, really fundamentally. I think you're having some time out to have some fun, to keep it lighthearted, to keep it non-committal. But I think also fundamentally knowing you want love, but you're not particularly bothered when that's going to be. Now, that could be a love of an intimate relationship, or it could be the love of a friendship, or just love in your life in a way that feels that it's supporting you, upholding you. Down here to the world and the Two of Cups. And I feel that in terms of what underpins this particular reading, that their enormous healing is going to take place with the connection of the past. I feel that this will heal and that you will actually reconnect based on some sort of a mutual understanding as to where things are going, what it was that happened, how it is that you should support each other in the future, in the present. I don't feel like this is a write-off. I don't feel like this is collateral damage in any way whatsoever. I feel that this will heal, that it will actually find balance, and that you will actually become reconnected in a way that is filled of great potential in terms of what the both of you can get from each other and actually give back to the world. And I feel like this is bigger than that, though. These two cards is also saying to me that you're going to not only find healing, but get healing. But also, I kind of feel like you're back out into the world in a way where you're making new connections with other people who are very much on your level. Like-minded, like-hearted, spiritually bound in a way where you're kind of from the same kin, the same tribe, the same community. I kind of feel like you're back out into the world where you find your feet and you're meeting new people, making new friends. I feel like somebody very specific comes into your world, and it could be an intimate relationship or a friendship. So it could be platonic or intimate. Somebody who will actually enrich your world and provide you an enormous amount of support that just feeds into your life in a way where there's a lot of giving and receiving. And I felt this would be a connection that would be lifelong, like an eternal. Like it's almost like there's almost like a soulmate aspect to this, whether it's a soulmate friend or a soulmate intimate connection of a more love like a lover, So I feel like you're floating up and above and beyond the troubles that you've had with this other person that you have had troubles with, and that you are finding your feet, you will find your feet, that there will be healing here. I hope this reading has made some sense, and if it has, feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon, that'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. And if you are interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. Plenty of info there about me, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can actually access my service. Thanks very much and take care. Everyone, welcome to card number 5. This is your reading, and we're looking at messages coming through for you today. So let's jump in and have a look and see what's here in front of us on the table. I'm up here with the Tower and the Ten of Pentacles, and I'm looking into the past. I feel, it's like this sense of not fitting into something. Feeling like you don't blend in, feeling like you don't fit in, feeling like you're the odd one out, that you can't make it work, no matter how hard you try. You always find yourself almost like feeling like a misfit. And it's a sense that you're not feeling like it affects your self-worth, like you don't feel like you're good enough. I really feel like this could be to do with fitting into maybe a group of people. It could be fitting into your family. It could be fitting into society. It just feels like you're wanting to be a part of something, but you can't make it work. I feel a rejection here. It could be a rejection of family. It could be a rejection of friends, of a workplace situation. But it could be bigger than that. It could be the sort of rejection of mainstream society, for example. I feel this sense that you're always falling short of what is expected of you, that you're not living up to the expectations of what you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to do things. And it leaves you really to question where things are at. Where do I belong? How do I fit into all of this? And there's a flip side to this, because I actually think deep down, a part of you is also rejecting what's rejecting you, you know, that you don't want to be a part of that you've seen a side of what's going on in a way that leaves you to feel that you don't belong and that you don't want to fit in. It's very rebellious. I kind of feel like there's an edge there that almost chips in a way that actually really wants to bring it down to ground zero. You know, I kind of feel there's a satisfaction in seeing it get worse, in seeing yourself being pushed out from the center of this existence. I do feel like it's had a really big effect on you over a long period of time in terms of self-worth. Because you question yourself, you question what's wrong with you, why it is that you don't fit in, that you don't live up to these expectations. You know, it sort of really sends you into that not spiraling, it's just really questioning yourself, questioning your self-worth. I think the difficult part about where this is at with the Tower and the Ten of Pentacles, you know, Ten of Pentacles is a really strong card for family, for values, you know, for family values, for society values, for the structure of society, for the networks of people that infiltrate our lives in a way that can be very supportive and very positive in a way that opens up opportunity for us. And so not having that in your world can feel like you're being robbed of something that's quite important because you fail to get the support that you need to thrive. And so perhaps you've been struggling to understand that if you're not going to be a part of all of this, how do you survive? And I actually feel that for many of you here, that you've actually turned your back on what's going on. You know, you want to burn, it's almost like in the end, I kind of feel like you've wanted to burn it to the ground and to just kind of like, you know, say, well, I'm done, you know, like I'm moving on. And I do feel, if you come over here to the Sun and the Three of Swords, I actually feel here that it's actually arrived you at this place where there's a lot of heartache, you know, a lot of pain. You know, like it's a dark cloud that hangs over you in a way that you'll never. I don't feel like you'll ever get away from being reminded that this has happened. It's become a part of who it is that you are in some ways. You know, Three of Swords, pain in the past, pain in the present, pain in the future. But it's coupled with the Sun, which is a really positive, happy card. You know, like I think it fuels this pain and sorrow in a way where you realize that perhaps, you know, you just have to accept that this is a part of the deal in order to move on and to actually stand on your own 2 feet, to become your own person, that you're better off without it. And I feel that you've come to a place where you know that it's up to you to find your own happiness beyond all of this. These 2 cards for me also indicate like a polarity of experiences, like there's good and there's bad. The badness of what is it's happening, but the goodness that, you know, you've come through this in a way where you don't have to be a part of that anymore. You're feeling happy about it, you're feeling sad about it. And also there's an all or nothingness to who it is that you are as a person, you know, because I think they've rejected you, but you've rejected them. Or you rejected it, you know, if it's bigger than that. I just felt there was an oscillation, you know, like it's kind of reflecting on the experience and seeing the negatives in it, but then, you know, having a reality check and realizing that, you know, you're not a part of that anymore and that things can actually only get better. I felt before, you know, there wasn't any light in your life in a way, or any light in this particular experience. So maybe saying that is a bit much, like to say in your life that there wasn't. But I think in this particular situation, that there wasn't a lot of light, but now there is. Like I think you're actually beginning to see a way forward in a way that you're kind of on the right side of this experience now. You've come through to the other side, so to speak. And I also felt that even though you had a lot of pain around this experience, it's like almost like you're wearing it like a badge of honor. You know, it actually sets you apart in a way where you can accept that this has happened and that it actually motivates you to be honest about yourself, about what you want in your life, about what it is that actually happened. knowing that things now can be very different to what it was before. I have a feeling that this experience actually defines you a lot more than anybody else could ever know. Maybe you've been keeping it to yourself. Maybe this is something that's very deeply personal to you. I wondered whether you've been carrying shame for some of you in the past around this, and that's a part of what I'm also seeing here in the present, is sort of working through the shame of feeling rejected, the shame of not feeling that you are good enough or that you don't fit in, feeling embarrassed by that. You know, and especially for people who want to be a part of what's going on in the world, to feel that you're a part of that mainstream, to feel that you're a part of something that is validated. It's tough. It's a tough road. It's a tough way that the cookie is crumbled. But at the same time, there's a lot of truth in what's happening here, because if you look back, I think a lot of these people have been fooling themselves. This situation there's something very false about it. What you see is not what you get. There's a lack of honesty in it for me. And I think that this has had to crumble in a way that has come down to the bare bones, so that you can really get right into your own truth. And if you come down here to the Empress and the Four of Pentacles, I feel that this is really underpinning where things are going over the next 4 years. It's going strength to strength for me. I feel like you are getting on your feet already, but I feel over the next 4 years, you're going to be really on solid ground for yourself. And it's that realization that you don't need anyone else but yourself. Finding that it's much easier just to be you, and feeling secure within yourself for the first time. And it's like your self-worth has just soared, and all of a sudden you can see that you're okay. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm okay. It wasn't me. It's sort of, again, finding your feet, but at the same time, you have this center of gravity where everything begins to orbit around you into your life in a way that makes it a lot easier now that you're living your own truth. Money and security and the sense of belonging is very strong here over this next 4-year period. I think things are going to really flourish for you. The Empress is a very strong card of nurturing and growth. Four of Pentacles, really consolidating your position in a way where, things become really solid for you. The center of gravity becomes quite permanent and fixed in a way where your backbone is strong, you're standing tall, your head is high, you're feeling good about life, but also Four of Pentacles, like money and security, it's all coming here into your world in a way where you gave up something from the past here, and you're being rewarded for being so strong about that. Your conviction is what I see here, the conviction of who it is that you really are. And I felt that you're going to just be doing you in a way where I feel you find some kind of a niche existence that are about quality experiences, quality relationships. Keeping things maybe on a smaller scale in a way where you can keep it authentic and do small in a big way. Less is more is what I feel here. I felt something really different about you in terms of your personality. I felt a rebelliousness. I felt like you're a bit of a renegade, like a trailblazer. I think that you're prepared to go into places and to say what needs to be said. I think you're somebody who has a lot of courage. I feel that this next 4 years is really important for you, that you need to nurture yourself. You need to be very near nature to keep yourself natural, because being natural is what this reading is really about for me. Growing your own roots, being natural, nurturing yourself, keeping it grounded in a very sort of authentic existence that rejects a lot of what's going on here in a way where you just don't need to be drowned out by inauthentic experiences, by keeping up appearances or being some kind of person who is a shell of themselves because they're living up to everybody else's expectations or to society's expectations or whatever it's going to be for you. So I feel like things are moving through a very turbulent time for you into some really solid ground, and it's good things coming your way. I hope this reading's made some sense, and if it has, feel free to leave some comments down below. It would be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon, that'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. And if you are interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. Plenty of info about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care.